Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are going to jump into the time machine as we travel way back to the era of Toybiz Marvel action figures. As we look at this, the X-Men Classics Savage Fighters featuring Sabretooth and Wolverine. So this crazy looking 2-pack I found recently at one of my local collectible toy stores. Which is Wax Packs, Records and Toys, located in Roselle, Illinois. If you happen to be in the Chicagoland area, check it out. They had this in the store, and every time I was in the shop, I would just stare at it. It took me a while before I decided to pull the trigger on it, but every time I was in the store, every time I visited, I would just look at this thing and I'd just be drooling because this is my love language. These really badly designed costumes and this over-the-top accessories. I don't know, I think it's fantastic. This is really a product of its time too. The graphic design work is like old school Photoshop. You have the lens flares and the airbrush tools, and I don't want to say it's poorly illustrated, but it's not at the same level as some of the other artwork on some of the old vintage Toybiz boxes. It has a charm of its own, and I think the overall thing just won me over. You look on the back, you have Sabretooth with his crazy glove and Wolverine in his futuristic looking costume. It highlights the play features. Sabretooth comes with this giant claw, which you can snap onto his arms. And then I guess you could slide a lever to make kind of animate them. This thing is old too. This came out back in 2001. So you're looking at a toy that's 23 years old. Alright, so the first generation of mutants known as the X-Men were gathered together by Charles Xavier, a brilliant scientist who is secretly a mutant himself. Headquartered at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, the X-Men test their emerging powers in the Danger Room. Their mission: use their powers to fulfill Xavier's dream of a world where blah 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 blah. We get the point. So let's get started. I really want to check this out. I love how back in the day, Toybiz knew that their quality control wasn't the greatest, so they'd offer you the customer service number down here. I wish that more toy companies prominently display this right here, because so often nowadays I'm buying a toy, and whether it's something Mattel, Hasbro, McFarlane, whatever, every now and then there's a quality control issue, and I wish I could just call a number, and I'm sure I could if I went onto the website, but I'm too lazy. But it's kind of cool that back in the day Toybiz knew what was up and provided this information right here. Oh man, this is so cool. Alright, so first, there's so much to look at here. Alright, let's set aside the figures for now and take a look at some of the weird accessories it comes with. Alright, it comes with these giant claws for Sabretooth, one for each arm. And it looks like they're kind of like, I don't want to say animated or articulated. It's kind of weird because the claws are so large to begin with that they're engineered so that when you push this up, they kind of spread out and move forward, but it's not really going to make a huge difference because they're so large and they're so protruding as is. It doesn't really change a whole lot once you push this forward. I do appreciate it, but I kind of feel like there was an idea that was over-engineered. They could have just left it alone and it'd still be very impressive. You have that feature on both arms. It's a little bit easier on this one, though. This one kind of moves out better. It comes with this. I don't really know what this is. Oh, it looks like some sort of breakable wall. It kind of reminds me of if you're into collecting WWE action figures, how There's the breakable tables. This thing makes no sense because I guess it's you lay it on the floor because it has these. It's almost like a ramp. And then I guess if you wanted to, the figure could like smash through it, a la like WWE, and then it breaks. It's like the Dudley Boys, you know, Devon, get the tables. As for the figures, let's take a look at Wolverine first. It's kind of funny because as old and as kind of funky as this head sculpt is, it almost kind of reminds me of the Hasbro Marvel Legends Weapon X Wolverine head. It's very ugly, but like I said, it has a charm of its own, and his knee pad just fell off. Let's put it back on. Might have to glue that on, I think. So yeah, the sculpting's nice. It's very, I don't want to say it's clean, but it's very sharp. Wolverine's gritting his teeth. So in the days of Toybiz, they would always just reuse the figures time and time again. And I don't know if this was an original mold for this line specifically, or if this was taken from something else. It was labeled X-Men Classics, so it's possible this figure might have been a repaint from something that was released previously. Oh wow, I was gonna say that. Well, not so much. Okay, so I was gonna say that I was surprised at how straight the claws were, which, you know, if you collect Wolverine figures, a lot of the time the claws are kind of like bent and, you know, flailing around everywhere. And on this hand, they're very warped. But you could correct that, just submerge it in hot water, and then just bend them back. This figure stands in at about, if I had to guess, 4.5 inches. And I'm almost right, it's about 4 3/4. A very sci-fi looking costume for Wolverine. The red doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like this should have been blue, so it goes with the blue and yellow, or it should have been brown. The articulation, let's get this in focus. In terms of the articulation, his head just moves, as does his arms, and then he has articulated elbows, a swivel at the waist, and his knees bend, and his legs move upward. And then he has these knee pads, which kind of pop off pretty easily, as we saw earlier in the video. But I dig this a lot. It has a charm of its own, and it really takes me back to the days of like Toys R Us, and especially like KB Toys. You know, if you had a KB Toys at your local mall, you know, they always kind of had these Marvel Toybiz figures on clearance. And that's the Wolverine. Up next, we have Sabretooth. This one kind of reminds me of the Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth, produced by Toybiz also. The head rotates, the arms move. It's a much larger figure than the Wolverine. His elbows are not articulated. You only have articulation at the shoulder. No waist swivel. That was the odd thing too about this time period. Like, articulation was never like uniform. Like, some figures might swivel at the waist, some wouldn't. Some might have knee articulation, others wouldn't. So it's kind of weird that this doesn't share the same amount of articulation as Wolverine. And it probably could have benefited from it also, just because the size of this figure, it's so much larger than the Wolverine figure. This head sculpt's nice. Kind of reminds me of artist Joe Maduria, the way the face is presented. I love the detail on the teeth. Here he is, just gritting his teeth, looking as ferocious as ever. Sabretooth is a very feral, wild being, and they really capture that, you know, aggressiveness that he has in his personality, in his face. The hair is well sculpted. Again, very unique, non-canon uniform like the Wolverine. You know, this is kind of very fantasy-based. And the design, this feels very 90s. You know, the way the character is anatomically structured. Again, it kind of reminds me of artist Joe Maduria. Best known for his time doing X-Men and his own imprint. What was it? Battle Chasers. And then he even had his video games. What are they called? I think it's Darksiders, if that's right. And then don't forget, Sabretooth comes with claw accessories. You put them on his arms. And this is going to be tricky. There we go. Now this is clearly an unfair advantage. You know, he has these giant, crazy, like, claws where the Wolverine figure doesn't really have anything. So, and it sounded like something broke. Oh, crap. Just give me a second. This break. Oh, fuck. All right, his knee armor fell off like on the Wolverine figure, and I can't get this thing to snap in properly. I don't want to break this. This is an older toy, but I heard a weird snap. So I'm trying to get the glove on like this one. This glove fit like a glove, no pun intended. But this one here, I couldn't snap it on right. Let's try again. Hopefully I could do it. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's it's such an unfair advantage. The minute these guys go into like a battle, Sabretooth is going to completely annihilate Wolverine. He's just going to completely eviscerate him and butcher him. Look at the size of these claws. This is so wild. I always loved how toys took liberties. You know, we see this all the time with like Batman action figures. You know, they'll make like Sonar Batman, Arctic Batman, Batman in camouflage. I love the fact that Sabretooth, who already has these gigantic claws as is, you know, it's not like he's vicious enough, so they just like slap on these crazy talon-like things. And each claw is like half the size of Wolverine. And here is poor Logan with this claws that are all bent and warped. Like, no way is he walking away from this fight the winner. But yeah, I love these toys. They take me back. I was going to say my childhood, but these came out when I was already like a full-grown adult. But yeah, this takes me back to those days of like KB Toys and Toys R Us, when they made anything and everything, and it was fantastic. You know, I kind of think that we took that period of time for granted. You know, looking back at it now, of course, I mean, we're so spoiled with riches nowadays. You know, with like Marvel Legends, you know, we get figures, you know, like this, that are just like so outstanding. And then, but like I said, there's a charm about these older figures. You know, if this was your childhood, you know, God bless you. This was a fun time to be alive. All right, so let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.